Well, guys, it's Mike here with another Watchman Thinking Out Loud, another Watchman TOL at gmail.com. Guys, I look forward to waving palms and singing songs with you very, very soon. Psalm 24:7. Lift up your heads, you gates, be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Guys, there's so much weird stuff going on in the news, media, and just in the world in general right now. Prayers, by the way, for all those that are affected in Morocco, the earthquake. The death toll is over 2,000 now. It's really intense. The birth pangs are definitely picking up here. A lot of convergence of events globally, and we're really getting into the Matthew 24 fulfillment there of everything Jesus is talking about in terms of what to look for, and as we're about to look up. So, Maranatha. Guys, iPet Goat 2, when I saw this egg story, this mysterious egg story, where this glowing kind of golden egg was found 2 miles beneath the sea surface on the ocean floor in the Gulf of Alaska on August 30th, this story has really blown up in the last day or two. And it immediately reminded me of the egg symbolism and imagery that we see in iPet Goat 2. You can see here on the left this still frame from iPet Goat 2 with the glowing kind of golden colored egg directly above the Antichrist in his Egyptian boat, which has the head of Anubis on it at the front, the god of the underworld, in this sort of icy chamber, cave chamber. So I want to get into this, guys. Let's take a look at the story. Listen very carefully to the language that this reporter uses to describe this story.
If you're a Harry Potter fan, our next story might interest you. Do you remember the golden egg from the Goblet of Fire? A magical device about the size of a dragon egg which champions in the Tri-Wizard tournament were tasked to recover. Well, a team of deep-sea explorers have discovered something similar deep in the Pacific Ocean. A spooky golden egg. It's not really magical, but it's certainly mysterious. This egg is completely unknown to science. No one knows where it came from, who laid it, and what was in it. The quest to find the answers has begun. Our next report tells you all about it.
70% of the Earth's surface is below the ocean. 95% of it remains unexplored to the human eye. In this light, the ocean is like an alien world within our own. Its depths are full of unsolved mysteries, weird and wonderful creatures, inexplicable phenomena. Here's the latest one. A mysterious golden egg. It was discovered on the 30th of August in the deep abyssal depths of the Gulf of Alaska. The discovery was made during an expedition by America's National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. The expeditioners say the discovery seemed like the beginning of a horror movie, only that it wasn't. Here's what they found. The object was delicate to touch, like skin tissue. It was found lying near an extinct volcano. It appeared to have a hole inside where creatures may have hatched. Upon closer inspection, all they found was a strange texture resembling silk. So far, this is the only information available about this object. The researchers have collected samples in tubes and taken them to a laboratory for analysis. But the news itself has generated immense curiosity on the internet, with people drawing comparisons to scenarios from science fiction movies. This is what Kerry Howell, a professor of deep-sea ecology at the University of Plymouth, had to say. In my 20 years exploring the deep sea, I've not seen anything like that. There are many undiscovered species in the deep sea, so this could be related to a new species quite easily. Dr. Tammy Horton from the National Oceanography Centre in Southampton agrees with the assertion. She says, it's not unusual to find unknowns in the deep sea. We have a lot to explore. They should probably do some genetic analyses to determine at least what sort of animal it came from. It could indeed be an egg case of some kind. So what exactly is this object? An ancient eggshell? The remnants of a deceased sea sponge? An immobile aquatic invertebrate? Or the offspring of an alien? The mystery is deepening. Here's hoping we're able to demystify it soon. Bureau Report, Beyond World is One.
So very interesting. Very interesting indeed. It's just all over the news. You can see here how many news stories, all the major news agencies, all the, the big guys are reporting on it, all the little guys, everybody's reporting on this thing. There's so many stories about this in the last, 24 to 48 hours. It's just unbelievable. Now on NOAA's website, we can see here, they talk about it here on August 30th. They find it 2 miles, blah, blah, blah. And then here's what it looks like. They sucked it up in that tube. So they actually got the whole thing. And you can see what it looks like there. Now, this is interesting. The Seascape Alaska 5 Gulf of Alaska's remotely operated vehicle exploration and mapping expedition continues through September 16th, 2023. Isn't it interesting how many different weird things are kind of descending into this mid-September timeframe? We've got so much going on that's kind of culminating in this September kind of 15th to 21st timeframe, don't you think? It's interesting. You can also download the raw footage of this orb, they're calling it, on the NOAA website. And it's 5.5 gigs. You can download here the video footage. This was last updated on September 8th, yesterday. Okay, now, so we saw that. And let's see, I just want to get back here to my slide deck really quickly, make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, yeah, okay. So in iPet Go 2, we're going to take a look at this in a second, but the Antichrist egg in the underworld here, you can see it there. And we're gonna watch this, but it looks from this angle where you can see the boat with the Antichrist in it down here, kind of going through this icy cave chamber here. It looks like he's going through almost like a throat, okay? And this looks like that hangy thing in the back of your throat, which is called the uvula, okay? So let's read about the uvula. I just did a Google search on this and grabbed this off a medical website. Because the uvula is basically unique to humans, scientists basically agree that it primarily serves as an accessory to speech. You know what it's like to have your throat go dry before talking to a large group? The uvula is there to provide the proper lubrication for complicated human speech. In time, we'll likely learn that the uvula does some other cool things to boot, but to quote one study on the subject, it, quote, may be another marker of human evolution that differentiates man from other mammals. That's interesting. So there's a lot of symbolism, I believe, with this egg here being shown as an uvula in the back of the throat here as the Antichrist sails under it. Now, let's take a look at this. I want to actually get into this part of iPet Go 2. Let's take a quick look here. Now, also notice this kid here with the egg head. We're going to talk more about that in a second when we look at the Heliofant website. And yes, I know the Heliofant website's down, but I've resurrected it, and I'll show you how. Let's turn this up. Okay, so right here, we see the Antichrist directly underneath the egg, this golden kind of glowing egg, the uvula, and he's in his boat with the head of Anubis on it. This is the Egyptian god Anubis, the god of the underworld. So he's sort of in this underworld. He's in the boat, and he sails directly underneath this egg, like it's a symbolism of birth, but it's also a symbolism of his speech coming forth on the scene. Now, right here, we see right there in this imagery here, we see Anubis. We see three things overlapping here, and this is painting a picture. The overlap of these three elements is really important. You have Anubis, the god of the underworld, the head of Anubis, right, directly in front of the Antichrist head. We also see this golden ring around the head of the Antichrist. It's the same golden ring that we see in the Heliofant logo. And then directly behind the Antichrist head here is the egg, the glowing egg that we see behind it, the uvula. Okay. So I believe that this might portend the Antichrist coming on the scene and beginning to speak. And he's going to be speaking complex speech. Okay. Here again, we see the Antichrist sailing through. He went through the throat, through the uvula there, the egg. So we're talking about birth, and we're talking about speech coming forth is what I kind of think. Okay. Now, I want to get into this iPet Goat 2 thing because, as you know, the iPet Goat 2 stuff has been removed from the internet, not by YouTube or anybody, but it looks like the creator removed that iPet Goat 2 stuff. And I got a very interesting comment from somebody on one of my videos where I mentioned that the Heliofant site was down when I discovered this early on a few days ago. And somebody said that, the Georgia Guidestones were deleted, and that deleting these things, removing these things, these pieces of warning, it signals to the elites, the controllers, the evil folks, that wicked people that run the world, that they need to begin the plan execution. They have to start the execution of their plan. Okay. So deleted signals, it signals to to start the plan execution. Okay. Now, the Georgia Guidestones, if you recall, I think it was a couple years ago that these were destroyed. And it really looked like, in the video footage, it looks like a directed energy weapon hit them, to be honest. It looks like either a lightning bolt or a directed energy weapon. I tend to lean more towards the directed energy weapon. You can see this sort of like a blast wave coming off of the stones here. It's quite significant there. And the stones are destroyed. There's no explosive material found. The way that they destroyed was very unlike how an explosive charge would leave them looking. So experts have weighed in on that, and they've said that. So if you don't remember what the Georgia Guidestones are, it essentially is like the 10 commandments of the elites. Okay. And here's what it says on the stones. Number 1, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guys, that's 6% of today's, or 7% of today's human population on Earth. So that would mean destroying over 90% of the human population on Earth. Number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. See, now number 3 here is really interesting, because where did all the languages come from? From God. Remember when the Tower of Babel was being built, there was only one language at that time. And all the people were unified in that language in order to come together, in order to build, to be like God, or to even overtake God by building this tower up to heaven so that they could be conquerors and sort of be gods in their own right. Okay. And then God said, nope, not letting that happen. So he confused the languages so that they wouldn't be unified. They wouldn't be able to work together and to be like God. Okay. So God gave us all the languages. He's the one that separated and divided humankind in that way. So here we have Satan back at his old tricks. He wants to go back to this single living new language in order to unify mankind against God. It's going right back to the old Tower of Babel days. Number 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Number 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. That's a wormhole government. Number 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. 8, balance personal rights with social duties. Okay, so if your social duty is to protect the environment and you have to eat grasshoppers and locusts, and you're only allowed to travel on a flight once a year, and not drive a gasoline-powered car, or you can't even own a car or go anywhere, and you have to stay within 15-minute cities the entire year long, then that's your personal rights are taken away because you have to balance it with social duties. Get it? Number 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Number 10, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. If you haven't seen the video of the line that they're building in Saudi Arabia that houses 9 to 10 million people, and it basically is a 15-minute city, they could have 200 of those such cities built across the world, and that would house 200 or 2 billion people. So they could build 50 of them and it would house the 500 million that they're looking at. Okay, so that's a real thing. This is getting very real. They want to do this, and they want to keep mankind out of nature when God gave us dominion over it. You see how Satan wants to take away everything that God gave us. Okay. Now, these 10 sort of commandments on the Georgia Guidestones, the guides of the Georgia Guidestones, they are eerily similar to the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs by the UN, okay, that are going to be talked about in the middle of this month, on the kind of the 17th and 18th, right? The summit, the SDG, the UN SDG summit. Okay. So you see, we didn't have this whole SDG thing really coming about. It's really gotten really heavy in the news and stuff just only recently in the last year, I would say. So when the Georgia Guidestones got deleted, what that was signaling was, okay, we need to start executing the UN Agenda 2030 and the SDGs, and everything's going to ramp up into high gear now, full execution. Let's go. Okay. That's what that looks like. And so the deletion where iPet Goat 2, has been deleted or removed by Heliofant. Heliofant has taken down their website. Okay, there's the Heliofant website right there. It's down. Here is Vimeo. They first launched that iPet Goat 2 on Vimeo, and their channel on Vimeo is gone. And then here is their YouTube channel. And notice this channel does not have any content. Okay. Also notice the image they chose for the logo on their YouTube channel is the serpent holding the egg. Isn't that interesting with the little embryo inside there? A lot of egg symbolism in iPet Goat 2. Now, I wanted to take you through this tool called the Wayback machine. As somebody who's been a network engineer and, working in high tech my whole career, I'm very familiar with this tool, and I've been familiar with it for 20 years. This tool launched in the 90s. It says here, date launched October 24th, 2001. That's not true. It was actually launched in the 90s, and it's been capturing the everything on the internet since the 90s. So if you want to view websites that went up in the 90s or in the early 2000s, and then they went down, they were taken down, they're archived, and they're here on the Wayback machine. It's called archive.org. Okay. So we're going to take a look at some things here, but notice that I just found it interesting that, it was written in Python. The code for the Wayback machine is written in Python, which is a snake. Okay. So we're talking about the serpent here. And I do believe that AI is going to play an important role with the Antichrist and with the one world government, et cetera, that's coming, the mark of the beast system. It's all going to play into it. And I believe that in retrospect now, that this tool may have been developed when the internet was developed. It was co-developed with the internet to start capturing everything on the internet and archiving it so that there would be a data set to feed into AI. It's basically everything that's been on the internet. It doesn't, it's stuff that was on the internet a long time ago that's now no longer on the internet. Well, it's been captured here. So you could feed all of this data into AI so that it learns a lot more about humanity. Okay. So I think there may be something to that. So when you click into it, you can basically search for a website. So this was a website from, you can see the snapshot date here up in the top right corner. It's May 2nd, 1998. This particular snapshot of this website. This is a website of a small skate shop I used to work at in the 90s. This was my first job when I was 16 years old. I was making $5.25 an hour. There's the counter I used to work at, with the skate clothing and wheels and stuff there. We was rollerblading, skating, and then there we are, me and my friends. That's me right there, and we're kind of rollerblading there. So websites did look really terrible in the 90s, so you get a sense of what the internet was like back then. But so here we are on the Wayback machine, and I put in heliofant.com. And when you do that, you get a calendar here. See if I can just zoom in. Yeah, cool. Zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. So notice this bar graph with the years. Okay, so it goes all the way back. You can see here in 2011 was the first bar graph that we see here. And you can explore, these bar graphs are representing captures that this tool has taken. So here in 2022, which I have highlighted, you can see the capture dates. So they're in bold on the calendar. A larger colored circle equals lots of captures. So we can see here there are 14 snapshots of the website here on February 4th. Over here on April 10th of 2022, there are 2 snapshots. Okay, so we can see those snapshots there. Okay, so you can go through the whole calendar and you can see all the snapshots that the Wayback machine is taking on the website. And you can see how the website evolves and changes through time with these snapshots. Okay, so just if you're curious, you can go ahead and explore this tool on any website that you remember from a long time ago, and you'll find quite a bit of stuff. All right, now, here is the Heliofant website. All right. So yes, this is a functioning website. So you can click through, the different menu items here, and it will function. It will work. But I want to cover this because since this website is down now, I don't know what control these people have to reach out to the Wayback machine and have them, scrub this from it. I don't know how long this Wayback machine is going to be functional for the general public to view. But let's go through the characters really quick here, and then I want to play the iPet 2 animation so that we have it archived on my YouTube channel, okay, in case we lose it, because the CG Guys channel on YouTube still has it posted. So I just want to screen cap it here and post it on my channel so that we just have more of it archived. So here are the characters. Okay, we have the Antichrist figure, the fire of truth. That's you when you stand in the awareness of your sonship with the divine and the brotherhood of mankind. This is very new agey. Here we have Bob, which stands for Barack Obama and Bush. The left-right puppet, an additional layer of disenfranchisement, keeping you distracted while Draco weaves his web. Lily, we've been talking a lot about Lily lately in my videos. And suddenly a startling realization arose. Get it? A rose in her ear, arose in Lily. This apple is not mine, she thought. It belongs to someone else. Remember, the apple is Israel, the apple of God's eye. And what this is portraying is that the apple doesn't just belong to Israel, it belongs to Palestine. So we need a 2-state solution. It also belongs to Palestine and the Muslims. Okay? That's why we see the apple roll out of her hands and then run into the boot of Barack Obama. And it splits into 2. And then we have the flower that pops up from the 2 halves, the worms from the 2 halves forming the lotus flower. Here we have Sun Tzu opposing courageously those who would enslave her. Okay, this is Ali, the whirling, Sufi whirling heart of Islam, awakened to the one true God. He is free and needs no control. Here is Juan Pepito. After years of economic exploitation and the environmental degradation, Juan Pepito has a decidedly sinking feeling. Notice the sickle and the hammer as well going in there. You have to Google the meaning of these names as well, like Pepito. This is really important. There's a lot of important meaning here. L'Enfant Bleu, the keeper of the flame. Madame Q. Madame Q's point of suffering is sex. Is it repression or indulgence? We don't know, yet there is definitely shame there. She portrays the whore Babylon riding the beast. And so she's going to be exposed. And we see that light pour into her little tower there, which is a phallic symbol. And so that is going to get exposed. The light is going to expose that. Ludovic in Latin, ludo means to play, and ovis, ovum/ovis can mean egg. Are you seeing that? We're talking about this egg thing here, and there's a lot of egg symbolism going on in this film. Interesting that this egg stuff was found around and put out in the news just around the same time that Heliofant took down everything. The egg is a symbol of the potential, genetics, and of the soul. Potential, genetics, and of the soul. Ovis can also mean sheep in Latin, but in reality, Ludovic comes from a Germanic name meaning illustrious in combat. Draco. There's Draco right there, the sorcerer, the unseen hand and spirit of madness, seeking ever more control through trickery, lies, poisons, false flag events, wars, and mountains of bureaucratic and legal framework to siphon off the energy of the inhabitants of the earth. Remember, guys, we are not inhabitants of the earth. There's plenty of scriptures to support this. He fears the light of day as he fears life itself and operates in the shadows. His greatest power is his hold on the issuance of the currency. I believe this will also play a role in the issuance of the one world currency through the Mark of the Beast system. Okay, we have Pieta here. We have boxed in with the goat. We have skullduggery, which is referring to 322, the skull and bones. And there are two images here, more skullduggery, and this is Osama bin Laden with the CIA logo and kind of patch there on his jacket. We also have an eclipse going on in the background there. Here we have prey. So we have the serpent looking at this egg, and it's in his grasp, and he's kind of holding on to it. And you can see the infant inside there. I wonder if this is referring to what's happening right now with genetic creation of human beings, because this arm here in the film looks like a robotic arm. So it almost looks like it's a laboratory kind of grown human, which we know is kind of starting to happen right now. Sadness, and then Lady Harlotry, which is the U.S., symbolized by the Statue of Liberty, and then all the characters right there. Okay. So guys, I think that's really mostly it. I just want to play the iPet Goat 2 animation all the way through. And let's make sure we have it kind of captured here and archived on my channel. All right. Well, there it is.
With Uber Reserve, you can book your Uber ride in advance, 90
Okay,
days
guys.
in advance. Perfect
Proverbs
for all you
23:10.
forward thinkers and planning gurus.
Do not move
Reserve
an
your
ancient
Uber ride
boundary
up to 90
stone
days in
or
advance.
encroach on the fields of the
Uber Reserve.
fatherless,
See
for their
Uber app for
defender is
details.
strong. He will take up their case against you. Well, that's the two-state solution, guys. They're trying to move boundary stones in Israel. And the defender is going to step out of his hiding place and he's going to take up a case, the Israelites' case against those invaders. The Psalm 83 war. It's getting very close, guys. Guys, Maranatha. I look forward to seeing you in the clouds, where we'll be waving palms and singing songs. Mike out. See you on the next one. God bless.